All right, happy Euphoria Sunday to all of you out there. So excited to be back talking about Euphoria. We're talking episode 3, which just premiered tonight. Some interesting stuff we're talking about, of course, Kyle and his backstory, and will we get the return of Derek this season? Of course, we're talking about Rue and the briefcase of drugs. What will she do with it? The relationship that's developing between her and Jules and Elliot is something to talk about as well. And of course, we're talking about that ending. Maddie, come on, Maddie, got to make better decisions than that. But we're talking about it all tonight on this live stream. So excited to be back. Got 2 new awesome special guests that's going to be joining us tonight. Really excited to pick their brains tonight on the episode and just break it all down for you all. So before we get into this awesome conversation, do me a favor. If you're watching this live, I appreciate you. But I would really appreciate it if you can give the video a thumbs up. Also, share the video to anyone that you know that loves the show just as much as I do and as much as our guests do and everyone in the chat. So definitely share it. And then go ahead and drop your questions and concerns or comments in the live chat. We'll try to get to those as often as we can. But tonight will be a fun time because tonight was a pretty fun episode, pretty funny. But again, some stuff that we can definitely speculate about in regards to what we got tonight. But with all that being said, like I said, my goal on these live streams is to bring as many awesome people as I can on the conversation. I got some 2 special guests. Their first time on the channel, big fans of theirs. Starting off with the gentleman here who I've been following for a while, from big movies, independent movies, TV shows, live streams, film festivals. He covers it all and does a great job at doing so. So happy to have him on tonight to pick his brain about this show that we both enjoy, and that is Euphoria. I'm talking about the one and only Sean from Lost in the Real. What's going on, man?
Hey, Elliot, how's it going?
It's going good, man. We were talking off screen. We've been following each other for a while, and it is a pleasure to have you on, man, to talk about this show that brings so many great conversations to the table, man. So I'm so excited to have you on tonight.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Awesome, man. Well, Sean, do me a favor, man. Like I said, I did my intro there, but if you want the people at home know where they can find you, what is it all that you cover and all that great stuff, the stage is yours, my friend.
Yeah, Elliot, you did an amazing job introducing my channel. But my name is Sean, and my channel is called Lost in the Real. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lost in the Real as well. And I cover everything, like Elliot said, from movies to television to big films to smaller films. And my biggest thing that I love to do is cover hidden gems, movies that I love that you might not have heard of yet. So yeah, check out Lost in the Real.
Definitely do so, guys. Sean's links are in the bio. And Sean, just kind of briefly, some of those hidden gems, man, we were talking about Sundance is going on, man. Is there some movies that you have seen or any stuff that you can talk about that should get the people excited?
Yeah, definitely. This year at Sundance has been really great so far. There's a couple of more films I have yet to see, but a couple of movies, Fresh with Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar Jones, which will be on Hulu in March. Incredible film. It is definitely unlike any romantic comedy you've seen before. And then also Cha Cha Real Smooth, which is a fantastic movie with Dakota Johnson. So 2 movies you should definitely look out for.
Nice, man. Always Sebastian Stan, man. He always comes with a surprise. You know, everyone thinks of him as Bucky and Winter Soldier, but you know, whether it be I, Tanya, and I've heard great things about Pam and Tommy. I'm really excited to see what that show's about. But I appreciate the recommendation. But again, Sean's information is in the link. Click on it, subscribe, follow him, do all that great stuff. You guys will not be disappointed. And that's one of our 2 special guests. This next guest here, I've been following her for a very long time. She had a channel, you know, this little small channel that had over 130 something thousand subscribers, covering comic book movies, big budget movies, small movies, independent stuff. She has a new channel that I hope you guys are subscribed to. But if you're not, go ahead and click the link in the bio. So excited to have her on, pick her brain about this show, and talk about it all tonight. I'm talking about the one and only Steph from Steph versus the Movies. What's going on?
Hello. Hi. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you on. This is an episode that I'm excited to hear you guys' thoughts on, especially yours, Steph. So excited to have you on tonight. If you want to do me a favor, why don't you let the fine folks at home know who you are, what you're about, and where they can find you.
Yeah, my name is Steph. My YouTube channel is called Steph Koza vs. the Movies, and you can find me at Steph Koza on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So on my channel, I used to do mostly movie reviews, but I'm sort of transitioning into a reaction channel. So I'm actually doing weekly reaction videos to every Euphoria episode. So I literally just shot my reaction to this episode, which was so much fun. And I don't know, I'm just having a lot of fun with it. So that's kind of what I do now. But I'm always working on new stuff. But yeah, that's my channel in a nutshell.
Guys, check her out. The reactions are fire stuff, as I was
Thanks.
expected, and all the coverage is great. And again, the channel that you're building up is just so great to see you back on the platform because you have so many great opinions and stuff. So I'm so excited to have you on tonight, you and Sean. And again, guys, their links are in the bio. Check them out, subscribe, do all that great stuff. You will not be disappointed. So before we dive into the conversation, I ask all my guests this, starting with you, Sean. Spirit animal. Who is your spirit animal on Euphoria? Who is the one character, whether it was you can, remind you of yourself in high school or maybe even now? Who's that character that speaks to you the most, Sean? I'm just curious.
I definitely would say Jules. I see a lot of myself, especially my high school self, in Jules. And then also I'm starting to see like Elliot is starting to become a little bit of my spirit animal too. I'm interested of his character and where the show is going to go with him.
Interesting. Some very interesting characters, no doubt, especially a new character in Ellie that we'll talk about tonight. And this little love triangle that's developing here. Steph, same question for you. Who's that one character that just brings you back every week and be like, you know what, I made those same mistakes or I do those same things now? Who's that character that speaks to you the most?
I am absolutely, without a doubt, Lexi. Like 100%. Every time she speaks, I'm like, me, literally same. Like to a T. I identify with her so much, and she's my favorite character, and that's probably why. But 100%.
And I know you're probably just like me. I'm so glad they gave her more to do this season. It's
Yeah.
so weird seeing, I can't think of the actress name so right off top, but seeing her in Judd Apatow's movies when she was a kid, now seeing her, in this show and just killing it so far. And we're going to talk about Lexi in this episode and her. I think Sam might be speaking to the audience. He knows that some of these characters have a lot to do and some awesome character arcs. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking full spoilers of tonight's episode, which was episode 3. And let's just jump right into it as we kind of break down some of the stuff that we saw tonight, opening up with last week we saw the trailer and I knew one or two things going to happen. We're going to either, they're going to try to, humanize Cal, give us some backstory of why he is the way he is, or give us some other juicy stuff we look forward to. And we meet young Cal and, we meet him right off the bat and meet his best friend, Derek, who he definitely has eyes for. And it's definitely a two-way street as we saw the rest of the opening. We meet his young wife, who is definitely way more, open and free flowing than when we see her in the present day, and, a little bit of his home life. And we kind of see a big moment here and Derek have a moment where they go to a gay bar and they have a moment. And the next morning he finds out there is a baby on the way. Starting with you, Steph, did this Cal stuff do anything for you? Did it add more dimensions or understanding the character, or did it just kind of fall flat for you? How did you feel about this opening?
I mean, I liked it. I liked seeing some dimension. I think like the Jacobs family is so interesting. Like I hate them. I cannot stress it enough how much I hate them. But like they're so interesting, and I liked seeing a little bit more of Cal. I did start to feel like, are they trying to like make him likable? Like, are they trying to justify like, okay, I get it now. I understand why he is so angry all the time, but it still doesn't justify, like, that doesn't make what you're doing okay. So it was, I don't know. It added some depth to his character, but it also felt like it was trying to justify his actions a little bit, which I didn't love, but I don't know. He's just really complex. But I liked it though. It was a cool little, like, I don't know. I loved all the flashbacks. Like I loved seeing Fez's grandma, and I loved this. Like it's a fun way to start the episode. And,
definitely.
I liked it.
Sean, tossing it to you, man. Your thoughts on this Cal stuff, and Derek, will he make a return later this season? And did you, like Steph said, do you feel anything differently about Cal?
I wouldn't say that I feel anything different for Cal. I think that he's just going to, no matter what. I kind of feel the same way about Nate too. These are both characters that no matter how much they're going to try to humanize them, I don't know if I'm ever going to like them, but I do like getting to know more. And like Steph said, just getting a little bit more depth to that character, because Cal was definitely kind of just a one note villain almost. So I really enjoyed the story. I don't know. It was really sweet. I wish it was for a different character though, almost.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'll be the Grinch in this moment. The cow stuff did not do anything for me at all. It did not move the needle because I was hoping to get, okay, let's see, maybe you see a little bit of his dad. Like, was his dad and an asshole, which you kind of get a little bit of that. He doesn't fully go there, but you can see that there's definitely a fractured relationship. I thought that maybe his dad was maybe a closeted gay character and didn't really, got caught, had to leave the family. They didn't really explore that route. And
Right.
then, like Cal, still don't really kind of get the understanding of why he does the things he does, especially what we learn he does in season one with obviously having, sex with underage teenagers and recording it. So I was just hoping to maybe get a little bit of that, but I didn't get that sense from this flashback. Only thing I could really get is Derek. I assume he's going to come back at some point this season. Is he the father of a character we didn't know, a la an Elliot character? We really don't really know his backstory, where he comes from, who his parents are. So with that being said, Steph, Derek, is he coming back at all? Is we're going to get any resolution to maybe they were caught out kissing each other, and then Cal had to go his separate ways because he didn't want obviously his persona to be fractured. Will this Derek character make a return?
I don't know if it would really add anything to the story. Like,
Yeah.
I think he kind of served his purpose and did what he needed to do and told that story, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like realistically he would come back. And if he did, I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting to explore, but I don't really care that much about it. I would rather focus on other characters.
True.
And I don't know. I don't think it would be a good idea to bring him back.
Yeah. And to your point, as far as like, I would have loved to get more backstory on Elliot versus Cal, to be honest, because I just didn't get that much from him. But same with you, Sean. Do you think this Derek character, because again, I didn't take much from it other than revealing this Derek character who may reappear later in the season, as far as Cal's best friend he hasn't seen in years. But do you think that Mr. Sam Levinson will bring this character back at some later point this season?
I do agree with Steph. I don't know if it's gonna like add anything if they do bring him back in the present. I did like seeing him in the flashback, and I think I did like getting that part of Cal's story. But if it's gonna add anything to what's going on in the present, I don't think so. And also, like Steph said, I'd much rather get more of the other characters.
Yeah, I agree. And one more little thing that I was thinking about Derek, and then we can move on to this episode. So there's a moment in the beginning where we see Cal tell Derek that he explores some new things with his girlfriend Masha, and he really enjoys it. And we see that Derek, he was either jealous, he was upset, or there was some look that they gave each other. And I'm like putting on my theory hat. Did Derek and Masha hook up at some point? And the father of the kids, Cal's two sons, is going to reveal to be Derek? Is that something a little bit too Maury situation? Is that a little bit too much tea there, Steph? Is that something I was thinking too much into that moment? Because they were looking at each other when they were at the practice of the wrestling, and they kind of gave each other a look. I'm like, is that like a flirtatious look, or is he like jealous? What's your thoughts on Derek and Masha maybe having a bit of a hookup session?
Yeah, I noticed that look, like that exchange, and I didn't really catch what exactly was happening. I was like,
Yeah, I
oh,
was
that's weird.
confused.
And then they just kind of went to the next thing, and I kind of forgot about it. So I haven't even really thought about that. I have no idea.
Sean, am I drinking too much tea here? Am I stirring the
No,
pot, man? Am I
I
looking
like
too much
the
into
tea that
that
you're
moment
drinking
there?
right
Is
now.
Derek the father? Is Derek
I mean,
revealed
that
to
would
the
be an
father?
interesting way to bring Derek back.
Yeah.
Like I said, if they came up with a good enough reason to bring him into the story in the present, then sure, do it, and that would be quite interesting. That's for sure.
Hey, I might be Sam Livingston if hey, if you bring that up, I would love that moment. That would be pretty interesting because again, I just don't see what the point of bringing in Derek if you're not going to bring him back. But we'll see what he has up his sleeve. But going into the present timeline, we see Rue, who we all love, but God damn it, Rue, can you get it together? We see she's opening up the episode, dancing, singing. We know she's on an all-time high. She's trying a new drug. She's going on heroin now, which is definitely a drug we don't want to see Rue on, as she is in the kitchen. Her younger sister, which we finally get Storm Reed in this season, has a bit of a moment there where she's just like, hey, I want to maybe explore, weed for her cover up of what she's really high on. And, the first time in the season, we see that kind of that pushback, that conflict that I love from season one with Gia and Rue kind of getting physical with each other. And she kind of gaslights her younger sister about, if I don't feel like I'm high, I don't know if I want to be here much longer. And we all know Rue, drug dealers or drug addicts will say anything to get their high on. So Tossing it to you, Sean. Your thoughts on this whole opening of Rue, and again, just making excuses for she can just live the best of her two lives, being high and being with Jules all at the same time.
I mean, it makes me sad. At first, I wrote down a note that from this picture. I loved seeing her dancing around and being happy. We love to see happy Rue. But then you know that she's just, trying to cover it up and she's being shady again. So it makes me sad. But what does make me happy is seeing more of Storm Reed as Gia, her sister. And I think that scene between them shows how hard it is to love somebody that is an addict.
Yeah.
So I think that was a powerful scene, but I am just very sad. Rue, get it together.
Definitely get it together. And influence wise, we saw Gia last season kind of exploring her little bad side and smoking weed at the carnival and hanging out with those twins. And I hope we get more Storm Reed because I kind of love that dynamic between those two sisters and the family. But Steph, your thoughts on Rue? Gaslighting her sister. Oh, I'm just gonna do weed. It's just the weed, and we know it's a lie. Your thoughts on Rue and just this path that she's going down?
I feel like I like Rue less and less every episode. Like season 1, I was like,
100.
all right, but I still love you. But like, you're doing okay. And then she relapsed and I was like, all right, but like, it won't last that long. And now she's just like going deep down this. And it's just like, it's getting harder and harder to root for her because I'm just like, what are you doing? And then the whole scene with Gia, it was such a beautiful, powerful scene, like extremely well done. But like poor Gia, I feel so bad for her. And like it's just like, Rue, get your shit together, please. She's just ruining everyone's life.
She is.
Not to get dark, but will it take Gia exploring some of the drugs that Rue has explored so far to wake Rue up? Will it take Gia ODing or having something incident happen where she's doing drugs, gets caught with drugs to make Rue have that realization that I have to be the big sister and set a good precedent for my sister moving forward? I don't know if that's what's going to take. Is it going to be too little, too late? I don't know, but Rue, what is it going to take? Well, you got Jules, you got some good friends in your hand, and you just can't get your stuff together. But we got more to talk about with Rue in this episode. And that briefcase, which I want to know what you all think she's going to be doing with that briefcase moving forward. But speaking of moving forward, we see Jules, as we know, has her antenna up because Rue's been spending more time with Elliot, a character I think we all have enjoyed so far. Very not a good influence to say the least, but a very unique character thrown into the mix. But we see Jules is interrogating him in regards to what's your true intentions. What are you into, Rue, and this, that, and the other? And just tossing it to you, Sean. Your thoughts on this dynamic between Rue, Jules, and Elliot? Is it working for you? And your thoughts on Elliot so far?
I love Elliot. I don't love what he's doing to Rue, the influence that he has on her. But I like this character. I think he's very mysterious. I'm super interested to get a flashback for him and kind of get more of his story. And I loved seeing the three of them like playing dare and like daring each other to do different things. I thought that was really funny. And I really like their dynamic. It'll be interesting to see if he and Rue have their own separate thing, or if they have like a little throuple, or what's going to go on with that. But I'm here for it.
Yeah, I like you said, Elliot's a very unique character to throw into the mix. And Steph, your thoughts on seeing Jules trying to pull out some information from him in regards to your intentions and the back and forth they have, which, by the way, the comedy in this episode when Rue's like, how many people have you slept with? Oh, she doesn't really share that number because she's a whore. No, she's a slut. And just their dynamic so far, whether it's the awkward interaction last week or the interactions this week, they're a pretty good trio. But I don't know if it's the trio that Rue and Jules are expecting, because it looks like both of them might be gravitating towards this character, Elliot.
Yeah, I love Elliot. He's like one of my new favorite characters. Every word that comes out of his mouth, I'm just like, oh, I'm in love with you. I have a big crush on him. I do. I will admit. But yeah, I love their dynamic. It's really fun and playful. Like it was nice to have like a little bit more lighthearted episode.
Yes.
More or less, and see them just like hanging out and being teenagers, because like sometimes you kind of forget that they're in high school and they are teenagers and like they're gonna goof off and play truth or dare,
right?
But like I love their dynamic. I actually really love Jules and Elliot as friends,
Mhm.
or more than friends, maybe.
Yeah,
I kind of
yeah.
got that vibe at the end. I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
are they
Oh yeah.
gonna do something? But yeah, there's definitely some like love triangle
Yeah.
energy, which is, that's always fun.
Yeah.
But I have no idea where it's gonna go. I feel like that it never ends well, so something's probably gonna happen. But
And I think we all like Elliot so far, but it's almost like I don't want to say he's pitting them against each other because he hasn't said anything until we get to that moment with him and Jules where he's just like, oh, of course Jules has said this or Rue has said these good things about you, right? Kind of putting that seed in there. I'm like, no, she really hasn't. So I wonder if he's going to be kind of that. He's pitting them up against each other for he can maybe pick who he wants. I don't know. We'll see. Again, so far, Elliot's been an interesting character, but we'll see what comes of those characters in regards to their relationship. But as we kind of move throughout this episode here, again, getting the stuff with Cal, seeing the stuff with Rue, we go to I think one of our favorite characters that has got a bit of a expansion this year, and that is Lexi. I know Steph says one of her favorite characters in the show, and definitely one of my favorites. As we get her moment of kind of stepping back and her life being a movie and her being an observer and her writing this play. And I love the kind of behind the scenes kind of marriage story, if you will, kind of seeing behind what's going on and her being the creator of her own show. Steph, since this is your favorite character, starting with you, your thoughts on this, which I want to spin off. This is the life behind the scenes of Lexi Howard. If we can get a spin off of that, I'm all for
Give
it.
it
But
to us.
yes. Oh my
your
God.
thoughts on Lexi so far this season and what she's given us in this play that I can't wait to see.
I'm loving it. I'm living for it. I love Lexi. I loved that entire sequence where she was like behind the scenes, like shooting her show or whatever. That was so much fun. Like it was just so playful and silly and it's totally unexpected. And I was just like, damn, this is a good scene. But yeah, I love Lexi. I love that we're getting a little bit more about who she is as a person. I think in season 1 she was kind of just there. She was kind of more of a background character. So I'm liking that we're getting a lot more of her. And she's sort of stepping outside of her comfort zone.
Yeah.
She's dressing a little bolder. She's acting a little bolder. And I love that for her. And I loved the way that she described how she feels like her life is like a movie, because that's like something I've always felt like.
Same. Truman Show. We're all being recorded. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've always struggled with like dissociation, depersonalization, derealization, and stuff like that. And that's sort of what it feels like, is like you're just sort of watching your life, but you aren't really part of it.
Yep.
And so when she said that, I was just like, girl, we are the same. But yeah, I'm really excited for her. I love that she's writing a play. Like that's just, I don't know. I'm just excited for her to see where she goes this season, and excited to see more of her relationship with Fez, which I am conflicted about, but I also love it so much. You know what I mean?
Lexi Howard.
Oh.
Hey, there might be another guy in the mix. I don't know if you guys caught Ethan's excitement with Lexi's play. I don't know if that's something, especially with Kat not being as in love with him as she is. I don't know if that's another love triangle coming to be. But toss it to you, Sean, regarding Grace and Holly, these new characters. Is it just me, or was it Sam Levinson saying, hey, people, I read Reddit, I read the comments. There's some people out there that feels, and Zendaya is fantastic as Rue, but there's some people out there that feel like she's the least interesting character out of the entire show. And I don't know if that was Sam Levinson doing that whole meta nature of Lexi saying, hey, supporting characters are pretty cool. They have some really cool things to do. Was that Sam just kind of saying, hey, guys, I know there's some awesome characters that you guys want to explore more. Here's one of them in Lexi.
Yeah, I love Sam Levinson's experimentation in this show. I mean, even in just this episode with Rue, doing the class on how to get away with being a drug addict, to then, Lexi's behind the scenes of her TV show, aka her life. I just think what Sam Levinson is doing here is just so much fun and, like Steph said, playful in this episode. And I think he was definitely saying, like, we were concentrating too much on Rue, and now let's give all of these characters that we fell in love with in the first season these backstories, with these flashbacks at the beginning of each episode. And I'm living for it. And I think Maude Apatow is so good as Lexi. So her just getting her time to shine. I really hope they continue her story and she gets to be a part of the integral storyline.
I agree. She's doing a great job. I think that getting her more of that spotlight, the character that's kind of been in the background, now in the forefront, has been handled pretty well. It doesn't feel forced at all. It just feels so
Mm-mm.
organic, and it's working really well. And like Steph said, the relationship with her and Fez was such one of the
Yes,
best things that we got this season. And I'm really excited to see where that relationship goes moving forward. But
it'll be interesting.
speaking of, yeah, very interesting. But speaking of Lexi, she has a sister that we know about who's making some really interesting choices. Steph, we got her waking up at 4 in the morning. She's getting all done up, and the more and more she's doing done up, it's becoming more of an OCD. It's becoming more of a Patrick Bateman routine, if you ask me, with just perfecting herself for the one and only Nate Jacobs. Steph,
Yeah.
how are you feeling so far with Cassie, just in general, these 4 episodes, 3 episodes? And what do you think about this OCD and trying to look more and more like Maddie?
I have so many feelings. I I literally am like screaming at the screen watching every scene with Cassie. I'm like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
She has lost it. She has lost it. And like I kind of love, well, I don't love it. It's very hard to watch, but I love the writing behind it. Like
Yep.
she went through so much in season one, and now she's just like, I like that they're showing that she is just going through it. Like she is having a hard time.
Yeah.
But I'm also just like, girl, what are you doing? Nate? You're doing all this for Nate? Why does anyone still like him? Like the fact that Maddie and Cassie
Yeah.
still are like infatuated with him after everything that he's done. I'm just like, I do not feel bad for you. You are so dumb. It's ridiculous.
And I love going back to season one. We kind of see that relationship or lack of kind of a male figure in her life with her dad being in her life and being a drug addict and just always looking for love, no matter where it comes from. It's definitely something that's been interesting with her, but it's frustrating because Cassie's so, she deserves so much better. Sean,
Yeah.
tossing to you the OCD routine, 4 a.m., doing the face, doing the nails. And as we see as the days go on, she's becoming more and more like the person that she knows who Nate will pay attention to, which is the one and only Maddie. Your thoughts on what we're getting with Cassie so far?
I mean, I love Sydney Sweeney, and I love Cassie as well, but I am not living for Cassie at all this season. I think she's a hot mess, and seeing her pine over Nate is just it's starting to get a little annoying to me. I'm
Yeah.
really over it. And I don't know. I really liked that scene when she was, getting up at 4 a.m. and doing that whole thing. I liked how they kind of incorporated like that's her way of being like he's still mine. I loved
Yeah.
that line. And so I don't know. I want more for Cassie than this, and they're
Yeah.
like dragging it on. But we'll talk about Maddie in a little bit. But yeah.
And a great point you bring up, Sean and Steph, and Nicole brings up a really good point too, as far as Cassie's doppelganger, and she it might have triggered, like very perfectly said, Nicole. It might have triggered Nate being like, "Oh yeah, why not just get the real Maddie instead of forgetting the fake Maddie?" And not, so that's a very interesting point because at the end of the day, we know who he went towards at the end. Very good observation there, Nicole. But as we kind of go through the next part here, and again, just seeing her OCD, we got to catch up with our boy Fez, our hero of all heroes. He gets a proposal from Rue, who's at this point, we know that she's kind of running low on her secret stash from Faye. She has this idea. Hey, Fez, what about you giving me about $5,000 worth of drugs up front? And Fez, he's made some interesting choices so far this season. Starting a fight with Nate Jacobs probably wasn't the best idea, and
No,
also having
it was the best.
don't get me
It was the
wrong,
best.
Seth. It was the best idea, but in retrospect, knowing that Nate's a psycho, he's going to try to get his way back, whether it be messing up his deal with Lori or getting Ashtray taken away by social services. Who knows what Nate's going to do, right? He's an atomic wild card. But we see, whether it was that fight or having Faye, who I think killed the hotel manager last week, have a killer in your house, to this decision. This is a great decision. Fez, yes, tell Rue, hell to the no when it comes to the drugs. Steph, Faye, or Fez, he's a great character. Your thoughts on that decision and the way, again, the comedic beats that's working in this episode so far?
Yeah, that scene had me cracking up. Like I was just like, I love you so much. And I love Fez because he's such a good person.
Mhm.
Like it's so interesting, his character, because he's living this arguably very not good life, but he's such a good person, and he really cares for Rue. Like he said in the first episode, she's his family, and like he doesn't want to see her go down this path. So I love that even though like this could be maybe a good business deal for him and it could actually be successful for him to do it, he was like, nah, I am not doing this with you. Like, because he cares more about her than about his own like business, which I think says a lot about who he is as a character. And I love it. I love him so much.
I do want to address this because this is what One Tall says. And just quick stuff before we toss off to Sean. Who did? I guess who wore who wore this better? Just curious. Starting with you, Steph. The Maddie look.
Maddie. It's Maddie's look.
It's Maddie's look. She's the originator. Sean, do you feel the same way? Is it Maddie taking it up?
100% Maddie.
Okay,
I mean, like Steph said, this is Maddie's look. So it's almost like Cassie just like being like a little fangirl almost, like trying to be her.
I agree. I'm going with Maddie on that W. But toss it to you, Sean, regarding the conversation we're having with Fez making that decision. And totally like what Steph said, I said this last week in the review. Fez, and there's so many characters that they're good people, but they just make bad decisions, or they were brought up in a shitty situation. And Fez is one of those characters, but he makes a really good decision here to not have Rue going and doing these drugs. But in the same sense, it almost is like you want to have one hand on the wheel, and now she's off talking to Lori. So I don't know if I don't know if he should have took the deal just to be able to control Rue, or make the decision that he made. What do you think about Fez in that moment?
I mean, I'm happy that he told her no, because if he did, it would be like, that wouldn't be in his character to do that. I think, and I love Fez so much. I think we've already talked about the flashbacks, but getting to see his flashback of how he grew up, it made me love him even more and feel more connected to his character. And I think he's just like a ride or die. And I love that about him. And that's why I want to see him with Lexi, because I feel like they're like, if they got together, that like he would just protect her to the death, So I don't know.
No, I agree. And I love their dynamic. And like you said, I love that flashback. It's probably my favorite flashback in the entire series that we got with Fez on episode 1. But going back to this costume conversation, we see Cass is just dressing up for Oklahoma, as it says. And like Steph said, that the comedic beats, and this to me was probably one of the funniest scenes, if not the funniest scene, especially with Maddie asking her, is that a real question? Dressed like a pop star, and perfect Sam Levinson. When we see Cass break down, I'm like, oh, so this is where she's going to die. This is where Maddie's going to beat her ass, as we saw last week. She's all for violence, but it was all in her head. She didn't tell her friend the truth and what's going on. And we transition from that with Cassie talking to the little kid Theo, so adorable, but talking to Maddie and really kind of speaking her inner self in regards to, oh, you deserve more, Maddie. Well, Cass, what do you hear what you're saying? Can you take your own advice? Steph, tossing it to you with the scene first in the bathroom. We see again Maddie criticizing her country star look, to her not telling the truth, to her speaking the truth but not taking her own advice.
Yeah, that was a wild scene. It was really great. A lot happened. First of all, give Sydney Sweeney an Emmy for this role. Oh my God, her freak out moment was just like incredible.
Yep.
And I was a little bit sad that it was in her head, because I was like, yes, let it out, girl, let it out. And then I was like, oh, damn it. Like that. I mean, I don't want to see her get killed by Maddie, because that is what would happen. But I was like proud of her, I was like, oh, yes, finally. But whatever. I'm sure she'll snap eventually. But I the whole like Oklahoma back and forth was hilarious. And I'm also like, I was just looking at her outfit and I was like, what made you think that Nate would be into this look? Like, what inspired this? Like, how did this happen?
That's a great question. That is a great question.
Lost it.
That is a perfect word to use there, Steph. She has lost it from the Maddie to now, a country pop star. But Sean, your thoughts on the comedic beats in the bathroom? One moment that I hope was real is when Rue tells them that she relapsed, and everyone was concerned. I kind of love that it shows kind of Rue has some people that's backing her up, but she's always just a weed, but we know it isn't. But seeing Cassie freak out. Like Steph, did you want that to be the real moment, or are you happy maybe it could be handled maybe differently in a more of a contained environment, for Maddie is not going to be able to get away with murder when she finds out the truth? And also, again, the advice that Cass gives Maddie. Cass, can you take your old advice there at that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I was happy when she had her freak out moment and she just, let everything out into the open. I wish it happened, but I think Elliot, you're right. It needs to be in a more contained environment. They need to maybe have some security with them when she tells
Definitely.
Maddie. But I have a feeling that Maddie's gonna find out it's some other way, and it's just gonna be a complete and utter disaster.
Yeah.
But one thing I loved about the Oklahoma scene is I just seeing these girls together, like in the bathroom, they're all so different
Yeah. That's a
and
good
from
point.
different cliques and stuff, but them like having this back and forth and, kind of this connection with each other, I just think is really something interesting that they're doing that
Yeah.
I don't think we got as much in the first season.
100%, man. Like last week, we got I think it was with Maddie and Jules
Mhm.
having a conversation
Yeah,
at the
I
bowling
love
alley, which we
that.
never got that. Obviously, we talked about Lexi. So yeah, I'm 100% agree with you, Sean. It's so nice to see the characters because they were so kind of like spread out or like bunched up. We had Cass dealing with McKay, and we had Nate and Maddie having her thing, but seeing all of them kind of come together, it shows how great they all kind of work together and them on screen together is fantastic. And I hope we continue to get more of that. We're speaking continue to get more of. We didn't get much over this week like we did last week, but we get some Cat stuff. She's still having battling, and she's one of my favorite characters. I love what she brings to the table, but she's a character that definitely is battling with her inner demons regarding who am I, as Ethan's mom asks her, tell us a little bit about yourself. And she just kind of laughs it off. It doesn't really have an answer for that. So again, we don't get a lot from Kat this episode, but just in general, Steph, how have you felt about Kat's character, especially last week's, which was one of my favorite scenes of the show, of being like in your head and being your own worst enemy? Your thoughts on Kat, and of course your thoughts on her in this episode.
I love Kat. I adore her. She's one of my favorites. I'm actually wearing her New Year's Eve makeup, or I attempted to put it on, but that's what my makeup is inspired
You
by.
guys see it? Look at it. Fire. It's fire stuff. Loving it. Loving
Thanks. I tried. But no, I love Kat, and her story is so I like it because it's different than everyone else's. Like I feel like a lot of the characters are dealing with some like, I don't know, relationship problems. Yep. And Kat does have a little bit of that, but it's more of like an identity thing and just like trying to figure out who she is. And it's so relatable. And I'm just like, I think with her, what's different is I'm just like, oh, Kat. Like everyone else, I'm like, stop. You're being an idiot. Everyone, I'm so 100%. So done with everyone. But with Kat, I'm just like, oh, Kat, baby, what are you doing?
She just needs a hug. Someone give her a hug. She just needs a good hug. Yeah. I totally agree with you. And your thoughts too, Steph, before we toss it to you, Sean. This whole thing with Ethan, because again, we didn't get a lot of their characters, but do you think inevitably this relationship, which seems to be, well, not seems to be, it is the least toxic relationship out of everyone, but is it going to run its course anytime soon?
I think she needs to dump him. Like I love him. He's so wholesome, and they're so cute when they are having like their happy, cute moments, but they haven't really had one for a while. Mm-hmm. And like, I think she just needs to work on herself and shouldn't be with anyone right now.
I agree.
And she clearly doesn't like him. Like she seems kind of bored with him and just like not really committed to the relationship. So it's not really fair to him. True. So I think it should be over.
Couldn't wait soon. I totally agree with you, Steph, when you said, I mean, how can you love someone else if you can't love yourself, right? And it's definitely something that she's been struggling with. And again, I don't know if the show was alluding to Ethan and Lexi maybe in the future. We all want Lexi and Fez, but, we'll see what comes of that. But Sean, your thoughts again, just in general from Kat so far this season, and your thoughts on this relationship between her and Ethan.
I definitely agree with both of you. I'm over her and Ethan. I think that we just haven't seen very much of them together. So I just don't feel a connection to their relationship. And I just feel like like Steph said, she needs to work on herself, on her self-esteem, find who she is. And she needs like a big giant Thor man that she saw in her
Rocky. She needs a Caldro. Yeah.
But I mean, Kat's one of my favorite characters. I think my favorite episode of Euphoria is her debut episode That was so powerful and it resonated with me so much. And I think a lot of people feel that way about her character. So I do feel like her story is the most shoehorned in this season so far. I'm just not feeling as like she's a part of the show. Whereas I feel like Lexi is feeling more a part of it and Kat's kind of like drifting off into the background. So I really hope that, Sam Levinson does something to give her more of an impact.
It's a good point, yeah, because you think so far, episode 1, we just get a brief understanding that the relationship's going good between her and Ethan. Episode 2 was the most we've gotten from her with her moment in the bathroom and having her fight with herself, and then just this little glimpse into this. So I totally agree with you, Sean. I hope she doesn't become just kind of, I don't want to say forgotten about character, but just doesn't like, oh, let's just check in with Kat and then go back to this. I hope we do get like some type of story arc stuff. Thoughts on
I
that?
kind of disagree. I think that her story is really important and like it is disconnected, but I think that's also the point, is that she's sort of detached herself from the friend group and she's not being open and honest with anyone or even with herself. And she's like, that's why she's having all these like inner monologue moments with herself and her own thoughts, because she just like can't face anyone. And I also I really like her story this season because it feels really authentic and real and like something that a lot of teenagers, if not every teenager, goes through. And like someone posted a comment down here. This one. Which is exactly true. Like everyone's dealing with these extremely complicated problems, a lot of which are kind of hard to relate to. Whereas Kat is like, I think anyone can sympathize with what she's going through. And I don't know. I think it's important.
Well said, Steph. I totally agree with you. Her story is definitely important. And to Sean's point, I just hope we get more of the story, more of the character development of her, because she's so great and it's so right. Like you're so right, Steph. And as one tall girl says, out of all the characters, she might be the most relatable. Right? We're not, I can't speak for you guys. I'm not, doing heroin like Rue or having a sex tape out there like Jules and all the crazy stuff that these characters going through, but someone that deals with someone that doesn't know who they are and figuring themselves out. And again, like Steph said up top, they're still kids. They're still 17-year-olds trying to figure all this out. So love Kat. But like Sean said, I just hope that we get more of that character this season and see what happens with the relationship with her and Ethan, or her and herself. Maybe she doesn't need anyone right now. She just needs to discover who she is, love herself before, dive into a relationship. So we'll see what comes of Kat. And like Sean said, just hope we get more and more of that fantastic character. But going back to our girl, Rue, she comes up with the plan with Heisenberg, Walter White in this show, a teacher turned drug dealer, and Lori, and comes up with the idea of this perfect plan of a bulletproof plan to have these high schoolers selling the drugs. They won't get caught because they have information on them, wada. She ends up walking away with $10,000, suitcase full of drugs. Question I have for you, Sean. Will Rue come up to the deadline, step up to the plate, sell the drugs, become this big drug dealer, or will she just sniff, inject all the drugs that she gotten from Lori? What's Rue gonna do?
I think we're gonna get a Bender episode. That's just my thoughts on it. What I would like to see is we get a Bender episode. She goes crazy on the drugs, and then something really bad happens, and she realizes she does need to step up to the plate. And then maybe instead of doing the drugs, we actually see her becoming, her and Fez getting together and becoming more of like drug dealers rather than the users. So that would be interesting to me. But I think we're definitely going to see her go down deeper down the rabbit hole before she gets better.
As they say, deal with the devil. I think that little I think this foreshadowing stuff when she tells her, oh, by the way, don't screw me over, Rue. I will have really crazy people come kidnap you and you won't like that. Steph, did our girl Rue, did she just make a deal with the devil, as Thomas says down there?
Yeah. Rue has girl boss too close to the sun. I don't know. Her ego is like it just keeps growing, and she's like, yeah, I can do anything. I'm invincible.
Yeah.
Lori scares the absolute shit out of me. Like, she's terrifying.
I don't mean to
She's
cut you
so-
off, Steph. That actress, I've seen her in a couple projects. I don't know why Marriage Story is coming in mind when she was having that scene with Adam Driver, and she was just so. She's always like she has like this monotone voice, and she just seems like she could just pop at any point. So she's very crazy. But yes, I totally agree with you. But go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, she's just like
Lori.
I am so scared for Rue. Like if someone said that to me, I'd be like, nope, I changed my mind. I'm out. I'm gonna go. Sorry. Like, no. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what path Rue takes here. I think she's definitely gonna go on a bender. I agree with that. Her and Elliot are probably gonna like open up this suitcase and be like, oh,
this.
And yeah, that's gonna happen for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Rue can handle the responsibility of this task. Like, I don't know if I just can't see her in her current state being able to maintain this for very long. Or maybe she'll do really well at the beginning and then it'll just
fall
like
right into it,
crash and burn.
It's so curious to see what she does with this drugs.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the trailer for next week. I don't know if we're going to see what comes of that. I initially thought, and this is a little bit later in the episode, when she went to her AA meeting, I'm thinking she thinks that this is just like, you know, an open 24-hour 7-Eleven. She has all these recovering drug addicts. She has a case full of drugs, and this is kind of her out to kind of maybe do some, sell it for higher than what Lori thought, so she can make that deadline. I hope she doesn't do that, because that would make her I don't want to say the worst character. We still have Cal and Nate, but that would make her terrible if she's selling those drugs to those people that are recovering from AA. I hope she doesn't do that. And I think she maybe stopped herself because she saw Ali at the meeting. I don't know. Again, that's a little bit later in the episode, but Rue, get some help, Rue. We want you to win. You're making some terrible decisions so far, but we'll get back to her a little bit later. But we can't not talk about, again, we saw Fez whooping at Jacob's episode 1. Ashtray and Fez, again, I was joking about, I'm not joking, I want to see Alexi spinoff, but I want to see the day in the life of Fez and Ashtray.
Yes.
Give me that off tomorrow. I mean, Steph, we see Ashtray as Cal's spine. We know he's, doing his thing, trying to figure out how he can get one over on Fez, but Ashtray's right there, shotgun in hand. And as Nate, or I should say Cal's trying to get, like, you're not in a position of power here, Cal, as he's bashing him in the head with the shotgun. This might be one of the funniest moments, because they're just kind of, Cal's confused about, wait, Rue or Jules and Nate, or Nate loves her, and then we see Fez like, you have a sex tape with her, and then the cake is Faye. Like, who is Jewel? He's calling her Jewel, and who are you? And do you and your son sleep with the Steph? This scene here, your thoughts on the community, but also your thoughts on my boy Ashtray, just giving it to him with the shotgun in the head.
I love Ashtray. He is a motherfucking G. Like, when he showed up with that gun, just like so confident, I was like, I would die for you. I love you so much. Like, he's such a great character. I love him so much, and he just like, it's terrifying. Like, if a little kid came up to me like that with a shotgun, I'd be like, you are a man, and I am terrified of you. Like, I will not fuck with you. And he just kept beating the shit out of Cal, and I was like, living. It's everything. But no, the comedic banter in that scene, like, that was so funny. The back and forth, and Fez is just like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Just get out of my house. and Cal's just confused, and it was everything. And Faye was my favorite part. She's just like,
she's just becoming the secret sauce of this season. She's been in every episode.
I cannot with her.
She is on another planet at all times. Yeah. She is. I don't know what I don't know, but I'm loving it.
Listen, that dynamic there between those three. We talked about Rue and Jules and Elliot. I mean, Faye and Ashtray and Fezco. I just want to see a scene of them in the house and just what goes on in that house. What conversations are being had at 3:00 in the morning? Sean, your thoughts on Mr. Cal getting his ass beat by a little kid who is a little kid, because he can handle his own. He has a body on his resume. He killed Mouse, so he has no hesitation to kill someone. But your thoughts on him taking out Cal and just the confusion going on there. And I guess the big question I've seen, will Cal be able to tell his son what Fez told him? Stay out of Jules' life, stay out of Rue's life, more importantly, stay out of my life. Will Nate take that advice?
I mean, first of all, I love this scene. I love Ashtray kicking ass as always. I really want to see. This is kind of a little off topic, but I am just so curious to find out more about Ashtray, where he came from, a little bit more of that. So
Yeah.
I hope we get like just an Ashtray flashback just by himself. But love that character.
Yeah.
And I think that. I don't know. Do you even think that Cal is going to tell
Present
Nate what
Nate with that.
I just feel their communication is so horrible that
Yeah.
it's just going to get more and more muddied, and they're not going to communicate with each other about what happened there.
What do you think, Steph? Because we do see Cal in that scene. He says, well, where did you get this information from? He says Nate. So we assume Nate told him, obviously not the whole thing, but told him enough to make him go to Fez's house. Will Nate and Cal have a conversation about what went down, or will Cal just, as he tells Fez, I'm going to wash my hands of it, tell my son what you told me, and make what comes of it? But what do you think is going to be the end result of this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Their communication is clearly horrible. I don't think he's gonna tell him, and if he does, Nate's not gonna listen. Nate is
Right.
absolutely not
Yeah.
gonna listen to that advice. Like, there's
100%.
no way. So
Yeah.
I think it's just not. I don't really think anything's gonna come of it. I think it's just gonna continue being the same.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, at this point, I mean, Cal has no, like, to his mind, he thinks Nate has the tapes somehow, some way. So he probably thinks Cal, of course, we see in this episode, Nate's drinking beer in front of his dad, having sex in the house, just doing whatever he wants because Cal can't say anything because he thinks he has control. But we'll see, man. Again, we know that Jacob's family doesn't like to be defeated too easily.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, with Fez being in that, or I should say, Cal being in the house, he just got beat in the head with a kid with a gun. So maybe Nate will tell, or Cal will tell the cops there's a kid in danger at this house, and really split, that heart that Fez and that relationship that Fez and Ashtray has. So I don't know if it was a good idea to put Cal in their home. So we'll see. Because again,
That's a really good point, Elliot. And that I do not want to see them break. Like if they break up Ashtray and Fez, that's not going to go down well.
Yeah, we would see Fezco destroy that town if he loses his little buddy. But I would love it, like you said, Sean. I would love to. We saw a little bit of that in his flashback that he was just abandoned by his mom. But I would wonder if we would ever get like a Ashtray centric beginning and just seeing his day in the life of what he does for keep himself busy besides beating up Cal with a shotgun. But as we kind of get towards the end of the episode here, we see this moment. We've been kind of hinting at it at the beginning, starting with you, Sean, with Jules and Elliot having a conversation. Rue is doing her thing at AA, and they get to talking about Rue maybe being asexual and not being as sexual as you would think with someone that's dating Jules, because we know she's a little bit more advanced in regards to that department. And this turns to that, and that turns to this, and she's smiling, and Elliot's giving her compliments. The cut, Kurt Cobain cut. You're very artistic. You're very intelligent. You're very attractive. What do you think about this, Sean? Is this a relationship that can come to fruition in the weeks ahead?
Well, you had brought up that is Elliot actually trying to pin these two against each other, and this is where that kind of proves itself almost, because just how all of a sudden he's like almost detracting Jules from Rue, like, oh, she's asexual. Haven't you always seen her as asexual? So that was a very interesting comment, and it's like, why would he say that to her? And then just that back and forth between the two of them. I definitely think something's going to happen between the two of them, whether it's a throuple or I don't know. I'm very curious, but I can't say for sure what I think is going to happen just yet.
Steph, our boy Elliot, he's charming, he's cool, he plays truth or dare, he does all the drugs with Rue. He seems like a pretty cool guy. But is he tearing up this relationship, which I think we can all say? I think Rue and Jules is just a matter of time that they're just going to not be able to make it, unfortunately. But your thoughts of Elliot being the main corporate of them not making it?
I think if he is the reason that they explode, I don't think it's intentional. I don't think he's pitting them against each other intentionally. Like,
okay.
I think he is accidentally, but based on what we've seen from his character, we don't know him that well yet, but he seems to be a genuine person, and he's always very honest and blunt. And so to see him be deceitful that way just
True.
kind of goes against his character.
Yeah.
But I think he's just honestly just being honest, and he
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
a thing for Rue, but he also seems to have a thing for Jules.
Yeah.
And he's kind of just riding it out. And
Yeah.
like, I don't really think he's thought about it that much or has any intentions of anything.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
I just want to your point, I totally agree with what you're saying, but like I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, we've known Elliot for a while, but this is still episode 3, and we really don't know his character yet. So
yeah, where the hell did he come from?
Yeah.
He just came to the school.
Yeah, exactly. Like, where did he come from? So even though it seems like the character we know now might not do that, we actually, I don't know. I don't feel we know his character enough just yet to know. But that's just
to rule out
you're
that
right.
that can have those the evil deed. Yeah, we really he's
Yeah.
like I say, he's a cool kid. He's the mysterious character. This is like the high school. Someone brought up Riverdale earlier in the stream, that this is a much better, which it is, but we always get those high school stories. The cool kid comes into the mix and shakes things up and gets the attention of the main character, and that's what Ellie is doing so far. So it will be very intriguing. I really do hope I wouldn't be surprised if we get an Elliot intro, get a beginning show where he comes from. Correct me if I'm wrong. Someone mentioned in the comments the woman he was talking to on the couch last week was his cousin. I don't know why I thought it was his mom for some reason, but someone said that they thought it was his cousin. So it'll be interesting to see who that woman is. Again, where he came from, what's his true intentions. We're really excited. But I like Steph said, he's been a really cool character so far. But can we trust him? Is the question. Jules doesn't trust him, so maybe we shouldn't trust him. But at the same time, Jules is your girlfriend's doing heroin and you don't even know. So her radar is not the best. But speaking of the best, Coleman Domingo is one of my favorite underrated actors in Hollywood, and whenever we can get Coleman Domingo, I'm always here for it. Especially the Zola Succession and Euphoria crossover that we got in Zola was fantastic. But seeing this moment here, Steph, we got a really relationship between Ali and Rue last year at the diner. We got the special with them having just one of the best conversations I've seen in a long time. So well written and great acted. Rue gets under Ali's skin, Steph, and brings up his parenting. And this is the Rue that made her mom, the fighting. This is the Rue that gets under your skin. This is the Rue that feels like she can't be beaten. And she talks about his parenting skills and pisses him all the way off. Your thoughts on that conversation? Will Ali tell Rue's mom that she's back on drugs? Will Ali abandon her? Will he just want to help her more? Your thoughts on this scene here between these two great characters?
I was livid when she snapped on him. I was like, you do not talk to my man Ali like that. Oh my God, what are you doing? Again, like I said, I like her less and less every episode. In that moment, I was like, I am so done rooting for you. That you do not say that. I was fuming. And like, you could see how much it really hurt Ali. And he's done so much for her. It's just like, really? You're going to treat him like that? But I don't think he's going to give up on her. I think he's a very like ride or die. Like he's in it and he wants to see her recover, obviously. So I think it fairly pissed him off. Like, absolutely. I would react exactly the same way. But I think he's not going to give up on her. He's going to keep trying. But
that was a low blow. That was a low blow.
He
even says it. I mean, and we can all relate to that. When you tell someone, we saw that in the special last year, talking about his kids and his daughters and what happened, and for her to use that against him is definitely a moment that would piss me off if I was Ali. And question I have for you, Sean, what moment made you more upset with Rue? When it was last season, when she went to Fez's house and he did the right thing by not letting her in and getting the drugs, and she was calling him everything in the book. Oh, you're Mr. High Almighty, but you're selling drugs to kids. Or was it this moment where she came at Ali, who's been nothing but supportive of him, and coming at him about his parenting? Which moment to you were you most upset at Rue? And of course, your thoughts on the scene here.
Well, both of those moments suck. I hate both of them. And you reminding me of that last season is making me hate Rue even more right now. But I mean, I would say this just because of how much Ali has done for her and been there for her. I'm just what I think her Rue's talk with Gia when Gia says that you doing drugs is different than when other people do drugs. And that's exactly what that kind of exemplifies, the way that she lashes out, the way that she turns into another person and can say the worst things possible. We've seen it happen multiple times now, and this is just happening again. And I really hope that something changes because I'm over her.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. And Steph, just to pose a question to you, going back to that Fez being our favorite character, what moment frustrated you more with Rue? Was it Fez last year or this moment when she came on Ali?
Definitely this one.
This one?
100% this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, both were completely horrible, but
Mhm.
yeah, this one cut deep.
Yeah.
Like, I think the one with Fez, I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but I think Fez just kind of shrugged it off. I don't think he really took it that personally.
She apologized to him too. I think they were
Yeah.
at the Halloween party. He says, "I think he said, it's okay. You're a drug addict. You say anything
Yeah.
you want for drugs." So yeah, like you said, stuff. He kind of brushed it
Yeah.
off. It probably hurt him, but he also
Right.
knows that she's an addict.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then in this case, obviously Ali knows that too, but
Right.
that was a low blow.
Yeah.
And that's like clearly we learned in the special episode that that's something he's really struggling to deal with, and he's suffering from so much guilt about it. And so for her to use that against him, something that he told her like in confidence as a friend, and then she just threw it back in his face, like so fucked up.
Rue can cut deep. She can be cold. We love her, Zendaya, and that's why you cast such a great, likable actress like that. It's because you're just like, I hate you, but you're Zendaya. You're Rue. So I hope Steph and Sean, I hope you're right. I hope, excuse me, I hope Ali doesn't give up on her. I don't think he will, because that to us so far as on screen, that's the first time we've seen Rue be so evil and kind of say something on those depths of pain. So hopefully he will give her another shot, and she will listen to him. But again, she got that briefcase, which wrapping up the episode. She goes home. Her mom is continuously proud of her. I don't know who she was on the phone with, which I don't know if you guys, just going back to last week, just stirring the pot again when Rue's mom was talking to Ali. I don't know if she was flirting with Ali, and Ali was, he was like, I won't go towards that route because I'm more focused on Rue. But I don't know if Mama Rue was trying to make her swing or her play there. But we'll see what comes of that. But Rue's home with the drugs. He takes the drugs at night, and we'll see what comes of that suitcase. But wrapping it up, we see Jules and Elliot having a conversation. Lexi still doing her play. But then tossing it to you. And again, we brought up Ethan again. And just briefly, Sean and Steph, do we want to see Ethan and Lexi or Kat and Ethan continue to go? I'm just curious. Just with you, Steph, which relationship would you root for more?
Definitely Lexi and Ethan. Kat and Ethan, they're over. They need to,
course.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm still conflicted. I mean, I don't think I've seen Lexi and Ethan interact at all.
No,
I can't remember
hopefully we'll
if
get
they
it.
have.
Yeah.
There's definitely something there. Like you could see Lexi was kind of looking at him, and then he was kind of giving her the eyes. But then I also love Lexi and Fez. And I'm just like so conflicted. But I think Ethan would be a healthier choice.
100%. 100%.
But her connection with Fez was just so cute. And I loved it so much. But yeah, I feel like her and Ethan are going to be something. I feel like that's coming.
Sean, are we on the same boat there? Or would you prefer to see Lexi just continue that Fez, that relationship?
I mean, I agree with everything that Steph just said. I want Fez and Lexi, but Lexi and Ethan would be the healthier relationship, but it wouldn't be the more interesting one. I'm here towards the more interesting relationship.
I just don't want Lexi to get like corrupted and pulled into this world because she's so wholesome. She's like the only one in this entire friend group who's just like pure and nice. And like there's just nothing wrong with her. She's just like, other than just like being passive, that's her only flaw.
I don't know why this is coming in my head. She's like the Kendall Jenner of the Kardashian family. She's like the only one, the Kendall, who hasn't had a baby and who hasn't had her name in a tabloid. She's like the one daughter that seems to be on a good path. Everyone else is like on fire. So I don't know, Steph. Is she the Kendall Kardashian or Jenner in this situation?
Oh yeah.
Hopefully she can keep her ways about her and not get corrupted by Fez. We'll see what comes of that relationship. But as we wrap up, Maddie, Maddie. We get the text message here, as we can see on the screen, that comes through. We got this Friday routine that Cass and Nate does, and he texts her. Unfortunately, something came up. Sorry, I see you next week, and we see he has flowers in the car. We pan all over to babysitter Maddie, and it's this guy. He's at the door, Steph. What the hell? What the hell, Maddie? Someone mentioned earlier in the stream that maybe Cass dressing up like Maddie this whole episode made him go back towards Maddie, since it's the real Maddie, it's the authentic one.
Mhm.
But what now? Where do we go with these two after the chaos from last season, the physical abuse that Nate did, the police getting involved, them having to do this, offshore or off the books relationship? Steph, what are we doing? What are we doing with Maddie and Nate now?
I hate it. I love Maddie so much. She, especially in this season, I've really grown to love her even more. Like,
Yeah.
I love seeing all the babysitting scenes. It's really
Mhm.
cute. It's like a different side of her that we haven't seen yet.
Right.
And I love her without Nate. Like, she's so
Yeah.
much stronger and
Yeah.
better as a person without him. But I understand her wanting to go back to him because she kind of touched on it in the last episode. And like, that's kind of how toxic relationships work. Like, you just keep going back, even though like, she knows that Nate is bad for her.
Right,
She's completely
right.
aware of it, but she
Yeah.
can't help herself.
Yeah.
And I also, I hate Nate. I hate him so much. I just like, every time I see his face, I'm like, fuck you. But like, the fact that in that text he still said, see you next week. So he's like intentionally going to Maddie, bringing her flowers, trying to make amends with her, but then is still planning to continue this thing with Cassie. Like, that's just scummy. That's fucked up. And I hate it. I hate him. I want him to die.
And he almost came to death in episode 1, which, before we talk to you, Sean, you just brought up a good point. And we know how like evil Nate is. Is he doing this because he thinks that she has? Because we all know Maddie has the tape that with Jules, and I don't know if Nate is still somehow, some way, stuck into his dad's ways, and he just wants to do his dad proud, make him proud. Is this Nate trying to get back with Maddie for he can try to convince her to give her the tape if he thinks she's the one that has the tape? What do you think about that stuff?
Maybe. I didn't think about that actually, but I could see him doing that. I don't know if it would be to like protect his dad or more like to protect his reputation, or just because he's like scared of his dad, because they have a toxic relationship.
Oh yeah.
And I think he's just trying to fix this problem that he created.
Very true. Because just going back to when he was looking for that tape, the season finale, or maybe the beginning of the season, she's the only one that's been in his room, is Maddie. So I think, that would be the logical sense. Like, oh, Maddie must have caught it, and maybe I can get my way back into her goodwill. But Sean, a lot thrown at you, man, as far as number one, Cassie and this Nate thing, and obviously Maddie and this Nate thing and this tape thing. What's going on, man? What can we expect with this
So
other
many
love
things.
triangle? So many things.
I totally agree about the tape situation. I think him saying that he'll see her next Friday is him leaving their relationship open to kind of see what happens with Maddie, but also for him to get that tape. And I don't think he wants that tape to protect his father or to do something nice to his father. I think he's doing it to have something against his father that he can keep to protect his own self from his father.
Right.
So I think that is definitely a possibility of what's happening at the moment. And then with Cassie, I mean, like that scene, it's she's just walking down the street and she's so sad or whatever, but I like feel bad, but I'm like, girl, you knew that Nate was horrible. I don't know why you got yourself in this position in the first place. So it's like, I feel bad for her, but I don't.
Yeah, and that's so many characters in the show: Cassie, Ruth, Rue, and just so many characters that we see these good people just making terrible decisions. And I'm curious on if Cass will now push even harder to get his attention. Will she accidentally slip up if she sees her and Nate kissing in the hallway? How she will react to that? I don't know. Again, I haven't seen the trailer for next week's episode, but if we were to theorize, starting with you, Steph, again, I haven't seen what next week has to offer. But if you were to guess, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, what do you hope to see at least in episode 4? More of the comedic side, more of the drama side, a little bit of both. Your thoughts on what we can expect next week?
Yeah, I have not watched the trailer, but I think it's going to be a heavy episode. I
Mhm.
I
think
think so.
this
Yeah.
episode was lighthearted. Last episode was a little slow. Not too much happened. So I think a lot of things are going to snap in the next episode. Like I think Cassie might snap, or I don't know. I'm really eager to see how she reacts. Like if Nate and Maddie get back
Yeah.
together,
Mhm.
because she's been sort of playing it cool and like talking to Maddie about Nate, like as if they were going to get back together, and
Right.
giving her advice that was more advice for herself. And I don't know. I think she's just gonna. She's already off the rails, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she's gonna lose her mind, and maybe she will finally freak out for real, and
Yeah.
everyone will see it. But I don't know. Or she's gonna continue this secret relationship with
Continue.
Nate, because
Yeah.
clearly we haven't seen too much from his perspective. He's been kind of
Mhm.
mysterious, but
True.
in the first episode, he said he was in love with Cassie,
Mhm.
which he was a little like delirious. So I don't know how
Yeah.
much I can trust that. But it seems like he's kind of in love with both of them, and
Mhm.
he just can't decide. And that's why he's leaving that relationship open.
Yeah.
But like he can't juggle that forever.
No.
And Maddie's smart. She's gonna
She
I,
is.
I think she's the one that's gonna find out and bust this thing open. That's my theory. Because
It's a good one.
she's already a little skeptical. Like you can
Oh,
see
yeah.
when she looks
Yeah.
at Cassie, she's like, what are you doing?
Text messages
So-
last week. Neither one of them were answering their phone last week.
Mhm.
And
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think she's figuring it out. So
Well said, Steph. And another thing that I think, and let me know, Steph, and also Sean, before we get your thoughts on next week, are we okay? Do we think the Jules and Nate storyline was dead? Is it never going to be brought up again? Have we just resolved that? Because based on the special, Jules still is in love with the idea of Tyler, and obviously she knows Tyler is really Nate. But we haven't gotten a resolution from that. Are you guys okay with that? Are you okay with not continuing that plot, or is that going to be something to explore this season? Starting with you, Steph.
I mean, I think the fact that they kind of brought it up in this episode pretty much means it's gonna come back at some point.
Yeah,
I think it would be weird to never bring that back
I
again.
think so,
Like
yeah,
it never really, there was no closure with that. It just
Not at
sort
all.
of is floating over here, and it's so interesting too. So I think
Very.
I want more of that
Yeah.
story. So I think it's
Same.
absolutely going to come back at some point, but I don't know when or how or why. But it's going to come back.
Sean, are you in the same boat with us? Is that because even not only this week, but even last week with the hallucinations, it was Jules was in that mix too when he was thinking about Cassie, and it was Jules and Maddie. So, do you want to see more of that that relationship that was established? Very toxic relationship, obviously, but the idea that Jules is still in love with Tyler, knowing that it's Nate. Do you hope that we get more of that storyline?
I 100% do. I think that, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of foreshadowing going on in all of these episodes. So I do think that they're going to start bringing back some of these things that we're talking about now, slowly by surely. But I would like to see that at least come to a close.
I agree. And then just your thoughts too, Sean, on what you hope to see next week. Is it going to be the Elliot intro that we've been waiting for? Is it going to be Derek come back and help his best friend, Cal, figure out this Fez situation, or something else entirely? What do you hope to see in next episode 4?
Yeah, I think what I do see happening is something's going to happen with those drugs. And I think that we're going to, if they do end up doing a bender, it might be next episode or the episode after. But I think that would be a good place to put Elliot's flashback in front of, because I can see the two of them going on a wild bender and Jules being like, where are they? What's going on? And that'll cause conflict. And then when it comes to Maddie and Cassie and everything, I completely agree with Steph. I think that Cassie, it's just a matter of time before that girl blows up. And I think Maddie's going to be the one that finds out about it, though. Right there.
Yeah. It's so many. We care about these characters, but yeah, I think it's coming to a head, because I don't even know if it's been confirmed if this is an 8-episode season like last year, or is it just 7. So if it is the case, this could be next week's.
It's 8.
Mid-season. It's okay, cool. So next week is theoretically we could say the midpoint of the season, and I think as mid-season finales do, they give us something, a new path, a new wrinkle, a new foil, a new threat of a sort. So it'll be really interesting to see what that is and what form that comes in. Is it more the comedic beat like this week, or like you guys said, like episode 1, that exciting episode of someone getting beat up and almost dying to the degree that episode 1 was? So I can't wait. I'm gonna actually, once we get done with this, probably watch the trailer for episode 4 just to get even more excited. But listen, speaking of excited, this was more than an exciting conversation that I had with you two, Steph and Sean. You guys are awesome. I love your point of views of the show. I love that you guys love this show, broke it down so beautifully like you all did. And again, I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight. So with all that being said, outroing things out, starting with you, Sean, again, big fan of yours, man. Continue to do the great things you're doing on this platform, from all the reviews, the live streams. Really excited for your award show that you'll be hosting here in the coming weeks, and so much great things down the pipeline. So again, Sean, if you want to let the people know where they can find you and what's next on Lost in the Reels.
Yeah, you can find me at Lost in the Reel on YouTube. That's where I post most everything, but also on Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter. I cover film and television, big movies, small movies, hidden gems. And like Elliot said, and he's actually going to be a part of it, but I am hosting an award show with a couple of other YouTubers. It's a film and television award show, and everybody in the community can vote for their favorite in film and television of the year. So if you are interested in voting for that and watching the award show on February 6th, check out my channel. All the information is there.
Definitely, Sean. Again, so excited to have you on, man. More than welcome to come back to talk more about Euphoria. And again, I look forward to that award show, my friend. Steph, it's awesome to you. Like I said, been a fan for a very, very long time, and so excited for the more reactions for this show and all the other shows and movies that you cover. It was such a pleasure to have you on. And like I said with Sean, I would love to have you back on talking Euphoria, talking maybe something else, because I know you cover a lot of other great movies and shows too. So, Steph, again, such a pleasure to have you on. But why don't you let the people know where they can find you, when's the next reaction coming out, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. Such a great conversation. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Steph Koza versus the Movies, or on social media as Steph Koza. And I will be posting my reaction video to tonight's episode in a couple days. I'm hoping by Wednesday. That's my goal. But this week I didn't post until today, so hopefully I'll be a little speedier this time. But yeah, be sure to check out my video on that if you're interested. But yeah,
definitely. Listen, guys, Steph's info is in the description. Sean's info is in the description. Subscribe to their channel. Follow them on their social media accounts. They are just not only incredible people, but great content creators, and they make some really amazing content. So definitely check them out. For myself, Sean, and Steph, guys, thank you for tuning in. Again, before you leave, if you haven't, make sure you give that thumbs up video. Click that little button. It helps out the video be spread to all the wonderful Euphoria fans. Share the video. And of course, once you're done watching this live stream, leave your thoughts of all the different topics we covered tonight. So with that being said, you all have a great week. See you next week for episode 4. Again, for myself, Sean and Steph, you guys be safe. Have a great week, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody.